You know, in the world of motorsports, there are a handful of names that just command respect. And Daytona, that's right at the top of the list. It's not just a racetrack, it's practically a legend, a place where the absolute hunger for speed has been part of its story for generations. This is the Daytona we all picture today. It's a massive cathedral of speed. Seriously, on race day, this place turns into its own city, buzzing with over 100,000 fans all waiting for that green flag. It is the absolute beating heart of NASCAR, an icon known all over the globe. But here's the thing, this incredible modern temple wasn't built out of nowhere. Its roots, they're actually in something way more basic, the hard-packed sands of Daytona Beach itself. So the question is, how on earth did we get from a simple race on a sandy shore to this absolute monster of a superspeedway? Let's dig in. Okay, so our story really starts way back in the early days of the car. Back then, Daytona's incredibly wide, flat, hard-packed beach wasn't just a great place to see what a car could do. For a long time, it was one of the only places you could really let it rip. And this right here, this was the original track. Just try to picture it. Cars are just flying down the sand, full tilt, and then they have to somehow wrestle the car through this slippery, sandy turn onto a normal public road to head back the other way. It was raw, it was incredibly dangerous, and it's where a local mechanic and driver named Bill France Sr. started making a name for himself. But see, France was more than just a driver. He was a guy who could see the future. By the early 50s, he knew what was coming. The crowds were getting huge, hotels and houses were popping up everywhere, and, racing on a public beach just wasn't going to work long term. The sport needed a real, permanent home. And that insight led to this monumental project to build France's dream. And this wasn't just about paving another oval track. No, this was about engineering a total revolution. They were about to create a design that the world had truly never seen before. And here it is, the revolutionary result, the Daytona International Speedway. Now, look closely at that shape. It's not a simple oval, is it? The absolute key innovation was this unique tri-oval design, and it was a complete game changer for both raw speed and for the fans watching in the stands. The specs on this place are just mind-blowing. So the track is 2.5 miles long, but the number you really got to pay attention to is the banking in the main turns. It reaches a staggering 31 degrees. 31 degrees. I mean, let that sink in. To give you some perspective, that's kind of like driving up a really steep hill, except you're doing it while turning at nearly 200 miles an hour. This insane banking was designed for one reason and one reason only, to let the cars maintain unbelievable speed all the way around the track. So, why the tri-oval? What's the point of that kink in the front stretch? Well, Bill France and the track's engineer, Charles Moneypenny, were obsessed with the fan experience. That unique shape wasn't for the drivers, it was for the people in the seats. It opened up the sightlines, which meant you could see the cars and follow the action for way longer. It was a revolutionary idea for a track this big. And here's a great little piece of trivia. To build those enormous banked turns, they had to move over 1 million cubic yards of dirt. So where do you get all that dirt? Well, the brilliant solution was to just dig a giant hole in the infield. And thanks to Florida's high water table, that hole naturally filled with water, creating the 29-acre Lake Lloyd that's still there today. All right, so the stage was set. It's February 22nd, 1959. The track is finished, 41,000 fans are packed in, and the first ever Daytona 500 is underway. Absolutely no one could have predicted the unbelievable drama of how it was going to end. As the cars crossed the finish line, it was so close, it was basically a tie. Seriously. Johnny Beauchamp was unofficially named the winner, and they sent him to victory lane to celebrate. But Lee Petty immediately started protesting, saying, "No way, I won." Visually, the officials had no idea. They were stumped. It took them 3 entire days, 61 hours, to figure out who actually won. Officials were looking at newsreel footage, staring at photos from the finish line, until they finally declared Lee Petty the winner by about 2 feet. And just like that, born from instant drama and controversy, the Speedway's legend began. But Daytona's legacy isn't just about that one massive oval. Its claim to being the world's center of racing really comes from how incredibly versatile the place is. See, winding through the infield of that giant tri-oval is a super technical road course. And by combining this twisty part with the high-banked oval, they created this totally unique hybrid track. And it's home to one of the toughest endurance races on the planet, the Rolex 24 at Daytona. You want to hear a great story about this track? So during the very first endurance race back in '62, legendary driver Dan Gurney's engine completely died just before the end of the race. Thinking fast, he stopped his car right at the very top of the banking. He just sat there, waited for the official race clock to run out, and then let gravity do the rest, coasting down across the finish line to take an absolutely unforgettable win. The whole place is like a Swiss Army knife of motorsports. They build a custom supercross track in the infield for dirt bikes. There's a totally separate dirt flat track, different layouts for motorcycle road racing, and they've even held powerboat races on Lake Lloyd. It's truly designed for almost any kind of racing you can imagine. But to stay a world-class venue, Daytona had to evolve all over again. So in 2013, the Speedway started a massive renovation project. And this time, it was all about completely reinventing the experience for the fans. And that was the price tag, $400 million. Just an enormous investment to turn the historic old-school grandstands into a totally state-of-the-art motorsports stadium. So what does $400 million get you? Well, a total overhaul, all focused on the fans. Wider, more comfortable seats, thank goodness, 40 escalators, tons of elevators, twice the restrooms, 3 times the food stands, and these 5 huge redesigned entrances they call injectors, all designed to make getting around this massive place a breeze. And that really brings our story right back around, doesn't it? From a simple race on the beach to a visionary's wild dream. From a photo finish that took 3 days to figure out to a $400 million modern marvel. Through every step of the way, Daytona has absolutely earned its title as the world center of racing. When you really look at it, Daytona is a place that was built on innovation. From its game-changing tri-oval design to its constant reinvention, it has always been looking ahead. And that leaves us with one final question to chew on. As the entire world of racing keeps changing with new technologies, how will this incredible temple of speed evolve right along with it?